What is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan. Now, if you remember a couple of weeks back, the Miami Dolphins actually did their own team awards, and I had planned on doing my own team awards anyways, but I actually wanted to wait until the entire season was done, regular season, postseason. So, hey, here we are. None of us wanted to lose that game to the Bills, especially the way it went down. But here we are, end of the season. So, you know what? Time for the inaugural Fins Up Network Miami Dolphins Team Awards. Now, before I get into my awards, I do want to hear his views. So give me all of your winners for all of the categories that I have today. Drop those in the comments. And if you have any additional categories as well, any awards that you want to make up, anything that you want to add to the list, go ahead. You drop your award categories to the list. I'll leave some comments with who I would have for your made up awards as well. So here we go. Let's just jump right up into this. MVP and Offensive Player of the Year, Cheetah. Tyreek Hill. Now, these are actually two separate awards. So if you're playing along at home, go ahead and separate them if you would like to. But since I have the same winner for both of these, I've combined them so that I can just cover Tyreek Hill and his season all at once. Now, I don't know about you, but I was beyond pumped up. I don't even have a word for how excited I was when I heard that the Miami Dolphins were one of two finalists for Tyreek Hill when he was on the trading block. Because if you remember back to, I think it was March, it was, hey, it's either the Miami Dolphins or the New York Jets in the Tyreek Hill sweepstakes. And thank God that we got Tyreek Hill. I was, like I said, from the moment our name, the Miami Dolphins was associated with Tyreek Hill, I was all in because I honestly believe that Tyreek Hill, he's a one-of-one kind of player. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good wide receivers in the league. Your Stephon Diggs, your Devontae Adams, your Justin Jeffersons, your Cooper Kupp. The list goes on. They're all great wide receivers for different reasons. But in my opinion, no one in the NFL that plays wide receiver can duplicate the skills that Tyreek Hill possesses. The route running, the contested catches, the speed, the change of direction, the short area quickness, the versatility that he has. He does it all, and he does it at an extremely high level. Now, I put out a video before the season started, and I asked in the comments, I said, go ahead and give me your realistic stat line for Tyreek Hill. And I got some guesstimates that I agreed with. I didn't think any of them were ever too low. There was a lot that I agreed with, but man, I got some responses that I'm like, what is this person smoking? These are outright bonkers. And when I gave my predictions, I was keeping in mind that, hey, we're going to be spreading out passes to Tyreek. Jalen Waddle just set the rookie receiving reception record in his first year. We got Mike Gesicki still. We had already signed Cedric Wilson. Like, there's going to be some guys. We're going to spread the love around. I was also keeping in mind that, hey, Mike McDaniel is a former run game coordinator. He's going to get that run game going. He's going to get that run game going early, which we didn't really see quite as much of. But at the end of the day, going back to those stat predictions, the ones that I thought were bonkers, they turned out to be sort of true. 119 receptions, 1,710 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now, the 7 touchdowns is realistic. It's kind of close. I think I had him at like 8 or 9, whatever. But 119 catches for 1,700 yards blows my mind as a Miami Dolphins fan watching this team historically struggled to even produce one 1,000-yard receiver. Now he did it at a 1,700-yard guy, and Waddle still put up 1,300 yards. The 1,710 yards was good enough for second in the NFL. The 119 catches was good enough for second in the NFL. And, oh yeah, in case you forgot, he did a lot of that with starting quarterback missing, a handful of games. So yeah, I had super high expectations for Tyreek coming into the year. Beyond excited to pair him with Waddle and Tua. I thought that was great for Tua's growth and development. And honestly, all those players exceeded what I considered and what I had to be fairly high expectations for all of those guys. So that's what I've got for Tyreek on this one. Like I said, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, our boy Cheetah. Let's go on to the defensive side of the ball. Christian Wilkins. Serious question for you guys right now. Have you ever had this much fun watching an interior defensive lineman? Because I remember a few years back now, I really enjoyed watching Ndamukong Suh. I thought what he did was great. Maybe he didn't live up to what he was doing previously in Detroit. Still, kind of a, I don't want to say once in generation player because we've seen other dominant defensive tackles, but Ndamukong Suh was great. But I tell you what, Christian Wilkins took my viewing pleasure of watching an interior defensive lineman this year just to a brand new level. And it was crazy because all offseason, what did we hear? Nearly every single day from training camp, it was Wilkins continues to wreck the Dolphins running game. It was Wilkins with another stop at the line of scrimmage. Wilkins blows up another play in the backfield. And honestly, I'm kind of sort of used to hearing those kind of training camp reports because one, our offensive line has been, for lack of a better word, pretty bad for the last couple of years, and our defensive line has been pretty good. And it didn't always translate onto the field. Well, guess what? His performance, the defensive line performance, and the performance against the run translated onto Sundays this year in the regular season. Christian Wilkins, third on the team as a defensive tackle with 98 tackles. First with 16 tackles for a loss. I didn't go back and check this, but I know a few weeks ago he had the most tackles for a loss as an interior defensive lineman. Tied for first with 2 forced fumbles, added a fumble recovery, added 3.5 sacks. And the best thing about him, from his rookie year to where we are now, he's gradually gotten better every single year that he has been in this league. So I think that maybe we can keep projecting up with a guy like that. You know what? The only thing he didn't do this year, he didn't catch a touchdown because he scored touchdowns in both 2019 and 2021. But you know what? He's chirpy. He's probably going to get in Mike McDaniel's ear. He's probably going to catch a damn touchdown in 2023. But man, you know about his ability as a team leader. You see him involved in every single celebration of a big play. Try to find one. I bet you can't. You know about his high effort. You know about his high motor, chasing down wide receivers and running backs, making tackles 10, 15 yards downfield. And honestly, recently, what do I love the most about him? The space that he has carved out inside of Josh Allen's head. It's been incredible to watch because Josh Allen appears to absolutely hate this dude. And the best thing about Christian Wilkins is doesn't seem to mind, doesn't seem to care. And I love this because I really think that these two players can really help spark this rivalry, get the Dolphins-Bills rivalry back to what it was in the 90s with Jim Kelly and Dan Marino. So fueled by these two, I really, really am looking forward to Christian Wilkins hopefully signing an extension in the near future here. You know what? I do got to give a little bit of love to Jaelan Phillips as well. I love what he did this year. If there was a runner-up for my defensive player of the year, I would be giving it to Jaelan Phillips. But I simply can't put a single Dolphins defender above Wilkins this year. So he is my DPOY, my defensive player of the year. Let's go to the rookie of the year, our boy Kareem Kohu. Now, how is this for unexpected? And maybe not unexpected right now as we're talking today, but if I would have told you in September that, hey, our Miami Dolphins rookie of the year is going to be Kareem Kohu, you probably would have not so politely told me to delete the YouTube channel. You would have thought I was crazy. But to be fair, it's not like we had a slam dunk candidate this offseason from our rookie class. I mean, who are we looking at? Channing Tindall, Eric Ezukanma. We only had 4 actual draft picks from this last year. And then we had the UDFAs, the undrafted free agents. But look about Kareem Kohu. He made the team. Think about how impressive that is, first and foremost. As an undrafted free agent from Texas A&M Commerce. You ever heard of Texas A&M Commerce before Kareem Kohu? Because I sure haven't. And I watch a lot of college football. Never even heard of the college. And then it wasn't too long when Kareem Kohu started getting meaningful snaps on a weekly basis. And then Nick Needham gets hurt and he gets elevated into even more of a starter's role and more snaps. Xavier Howard is getting hurt. And we are so thin at cornerback that Kareem Kohu steps in and is instantly cornerback 1. And then even when Xavier Howard came back, it's not like, I mean, Kohu wasn't our best cornerback at that point in time, but he was still starting on a weekly basis from that point on. Now, no, Kohu wasn't flawless, but no one's out here saying he's in this elite group of cornerbacks or anything like that. We're keeping it in perspective here. He did seem to have what? A hiccup per game. That's what we talked about a lot in our recap and takeaways videos, whether it was a pass interference call or allowing like a mid-range to deep completion. He seemed to have one hiccup per game, but more often than not, super reliable, was on the right side of a lot of big plays. Look at this. 5th on the team in total tackles, 2nd in passes defended, only behind Xavier Howard. He had an interception in the regular season, 2 more passes defended in the playoff game against the Bills, one that resulted in the interception for Javon Holland. Can't say enough about the guy. He worked his ass off to get where he is right now. And yeah, guess what? He appears in pretty good shape to get meaningful snaps heading in the next year as well. So even with limited competition in this particular category, got to give some end of the season props to our boy Kareem Kohu. All right, here's an award that I made up. Warrior of the Year, Terron Armstead. Like I said, made this one up. So as I mentioned earlier, the door is open for you as well. If you have any made up awards, anything that you think would fit in here, drop those in the comments. I'm curious to see what you have, and I'll add my comments to them as well. But Terron Armstead absolutely needs recognition in this video. After everything he went through this season with the Dolphins, look at, he injures his toe in week 1 against the Patriots to the point where he was medically advised to get season-ending surgery. Instead, he says, nah, F that. I'm going to go out and play some more. And what does he do? He piles up knee and hip, essentially every lower body injury that you can acquire. He did it. He found a way to do it, and he powered through it. What did he miss? I think 4 games all season. Plus, and after he missed weeks 17 and 18, he battles back, tells the coaching staff, you know what? If I can push off of my leg, I'm playing in that playoff game. With all 4 injuries that he had, he plays in that playoff game against the Bills, and he did a pretty damn good job in the process as well. I mean, I don't have to tell you, this team was completely different when Terron Armstead was on and off the field, and look no further than that game against the Texans. We're up, 30-0? Terron Armstead gets dinged up. He goes out. Offense vanished. It just disappeared. And now, granted, we didn't need to score all that many more points, but the offense vanished. Tua got taken out of the game. Well, 1, because we were up by so much, but also it didn't even seem safe to have a guy back there at that point in time. Terron Armstead means that much, and his play was noticeable in that Texans games and numerous other games when he wasn't around. So to wrap up the Terron Armstead talk, you know it's a good thing when you can plug a guy in on the offensive line and not have to worry about the position. And that's exactly what we have with Terron Armstead. And for him to be able to do that with all the injuries, with all the responsibilities he had this year, think about what was playing next to him all season. Liam Eichenberg, Robert Jones, it was a bunch of young guys that he was mentoring, communicating with. You'd see him communicating with those guys. Cotton in the last game against the Bills, communicating with those guys before the snap even started. Every once in a while, you'd see him even call a timeout. The dude was a leader on and off the field. He gets a Fins Up Network award, damn it, even if it's made up. All right, Special Teams Player of the Year. And you know what? I don't want this video to end discussing a punter, so I'm going to give my Special Teams Award to, yes, Thomas Morstead, 1, because he was good. He deserves it. And 2, there's not another player that was on special teams that's worth considering even in this debate. So there, I spared you punter talk to end this video while still giving out a Special Teams Award. So there's my award winners. But like I said, give me your award winners for those same awards. If you had any made up awards, go ahead and drop those as well. Would love to hear what else you guys have. However, Dolphins fans, those are my inaugural Fins Up Network awards. I will be back. I've got a lot of great stuff coming up here almost daily at this point in time. Might take a couple of days here and there now that we're more so into the off season, but still going to be locked and loaded and having a lot of content coming your way. So if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you are doing so. But that's what I got for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, Fins Up.